Can you get to the Grand Canyon without a car? Now, before you decide to Forrest Gump your way through the Grand Canyon state, let me provide you some tips in this video on how to get there using transit. The topic's important because the Grand Canyon is the second most visited national park in the United States. While we often criticize parking and the impacts of cars in cities, it's equally important to consider the effects that we have to our national parks. National parks help protect and preserve ecosystems and are home to many diverse species. It's essential to respect their habitat and preserve the beauty of nature when we're visiting. Unfortunately, animal roadkill is very common around national parks, and the more individual miles driven increase the chance of wildlife roadkill. We should have more convenient transit options for accessing national parks, and today I'll show you how to get to the Grand Canyon using transit after the trolley. Welcome to Urban Avenues, a channel dedicated to exploring all the avenues of urbanism. Today we'll be exploring how to get to the Grand Canyon from Phoenix without a car. If you're coming from out of state or country, you're most likely going to be flying into Phoenix Sky Harbor. Most Grand Canyon visitors fly here as it is the closest international airport to the South Rim. Once you land in Phoenix, you're either going to be in Terminal 3 or Terminal 4. You're going to be looking for signs that say Phoenix SkyTrain. This is an automated train that runs every 5 minutes or less during peak time. And the best part of this train is it's completely free. When you get to the station, you're going to want to make sure that you're headed towards 44th Street in Washington. Terminal 4 is a little bit closer to 44th Street in Washington, but honestly, either station will get you there in less than 10 minutes. And like I mentioned, the train is automated, so if you've ever wanted to cosplay being a train conductor, this is a great opportunity to do so. We are now approaching the 44th Street in Washington station. This is where we're going to be catching the FlixBuses. We will be getting a FlixBus towards Flagstaff, Arizona. And to get to the pickup area, you'll exit the Phoenix SkyTrain and take the escalator 2 levels down to the waiting area. The waiting area has a restroom and water fountains available while you wait. Once you're down, head outside towards the atrium and the pickup area will be on the north side of the station. It's just a short walk from the doors, so be sure to look for the bus sign and your FlixBus will pick you up right there. If you're from the Phoenix area, Valley Metro, the region's transit provider, has a couple of local bus routes that'll bring you straight here without having to transfer. You have the 44 bus, which is actually the end of the line for this bus line, and it will bring you right where the FlixBuses are going to pick up. You also have the 1 bus and the 32 bus, and both of these will have a similar stop on Washington, where it will just be a short little walk from Washington Street. The light rail also serves the station, and you can get here from Mesa, Tempe, and Central Phoenix if you want to take the train. Once you get to the station, if you take a train here, you will have to go up the Sky Bridge to cross over Washington and then go all the way back down. Now we can start heading over to where the charter bus pickup is and get into our FlixBus. We are now on the way to Flagstaff. The journey is about 2 hours and there's no stop in between the station that we were just at all the way to Flagstaff. Something to keep in mind when you're booking with FlixBus is that they recently acquired Greyhound. This means when you're going through their app to book your tickets, you're going to have the option for a Greyhound or a FlixBus. Make sure you only get the FlixBus because the Greyhound, the pickup, and the drop-off are in 2 different areas. And once you're on board, you have USB charging available, you have Wi-Fi, and you also have a restroom. When you book your ticket, I did a round trip because I was planning to come back to the station. It's about $60 after service fees, and it's about what I've been seeing when I look back and checked what the prices are currently. This isn't bad at all when you consider part of this trip, the section of the trip we're taking, is going to be 300 miles round trip to get to Flagstaff and back to Phoenix. You do get a carry-on and a stored bag as well. The bus will be taking the I-17 all the way up to Flagstaff and it will be getting off where the Amtrak station is in Flagstaff, Arizona. We're now approaching Flagstaff, Arizona at Amtrak station. This is where the FlixBus will drop off, and it will be where you also pick up. If the visitor center is open, they do have a restroom available to use and some water. There's also a gift shop in there, so if you want to get some gifts for friends or family, you can get souvenir shopping in here too. There are 2 reasons you're going to be stopping in Flagstaff. One, you have to be able to transfer if you're going to the Grand Canyon car free. And the second reason is if you want cheaper accommodation. Staying at the Grand Canyon can be very expensive. It can get as high as like $400 to $500 a night. Sometimes you can get it lower as $300. Totally up to you. I understand that a lot of people are coming from out of country to go visit here, so you're going to want to spend more time in the Grand Canyon. There are other ways to get to the Grand Canyon besides the Groome shuttle that we're going to get into a little bit more. There's also a train to get there. If you are taking the train, you would have to catch it over at Williams, Arizona, which you would also have to take a Groome shuttle, so it would just make sense to take the Groome shuttle all the way to the Grand Canyon because the price just gets a lot more expensive to also add the train on. But if you are doing, let's say, a car rental and you want to minimize your impact, definitely going to Williams and taking the train. It's about $100 round trip. You do get a cowboy experience. I did it when I was younger. It was a lot of fun. They'll fake a pretend train robbery on the way, so you can get like a little bit of a Western cowboy experience if you'd like. But yeah, it's great for families, but if you're just traveling individually and you're just trying to get their car free, I really think the Groome shuttle is the better way to go. And this is coming from someone that loves taking trains everywhere. You can watch the train come in and go from inside the national park. So if you do want to do some train spotting, you have the opportunity to do so. You are able to catch the Southwest Chief. So if you're coming from the Chicago side or the LA side, there is the train station. It runs about once a day. So you could catch a train here if you're on a further side and you don't want to fly into Phoenix. There is a train that you can catch, and it's going to be the same steps that we're going to be seeing next, which is catching the Groome shuttle. They do have the Amtrak throughway bus system. I'm not as familiar with that, so I did not want to showcase that as a way to get around, but that is an option. The next step to get into the Grand Canyon is catching the Groome shuttle. This can be picked up on the east side of the Flagstaff Amtrak station. Tickets for the Groome shuttle will be about $90 round trip, and that includes your ticket into the Grand Canyon. You will be catching the shuttle to the Maswick Lodge lobby, and your shuttle is more of a van. So if you'd like to be dropped off more towards the visitor center instead of the Maswick Lodge, you're able to ask. Regardless, there is a bus shuttle system in Grand Canyon that you'll be able to use that's completely free. The trip from Flagstaff to Grand Canyon with the shuttle is about an hour and 40 minutes. I had one other person in the shuttle with me who was an employee that was working over there. On the way back, similar story. A lot of the folks using this service are folks working and coming back from the Grand Canyon. And then after that shuttle ride, you've made it. You are at the Grand Canyon, and you've made it all the way from Phoenix without a car. Now let's figure out how we can get around at the Grand Canyon. There's actually some trails here that you cannot get to even if you do bring your car here. So the visitor center parking lots fill up very quickly, so it's nice to be able to not have to even worry about that. You'll have 3 bus routes that you'll be able to use. You have the blue route, which is more of a village. It connects to the general store, the train station, and gets you all the way to the red route. The red route closes during the winter time, but that gets you to more of the hiking trails and near the Grand Canyon Greenway. The orange route will be more of the visitor center, and it will get you to the eastern portions of the Grand Canyon. All these buses are great, and during its peak time does have a very nice frequency that is better than my own city and many other cities I've been to. Some of them will run at a 10-minute headway, which sometimes it feels faster than that. And originally in the 1995 plan for the Grand Canyon and its management plans, they wanted to actually put light rail in the Grand Canyon and even had the visitor center where the shuttle station is as kind of the main kind of connection point. They were estimating that they would be able to reduce the amount of parking that was needed at the Grand Canyon if they were able to manage this, and even mention better bus connection from Flagstaff to the Grand Canyon. So you wouldn't have to take a shuttle. A bus would have been much more affordable. In the 1995 management plan, they did state that the roads and facilities in the developed areas of the park were never designed to handle this volume use. The result has been gradual degradation of the visitor's experience and unacceptable impacts on the park's natural and cultural resource. And they wanted to create plans so people didn't have to drive to the Grand Canyon, but have more options, especially without a car. Unfortunately, I don't think the light rail ever really went much further than building a transit center, which you can see at the visitor center. Another fantastic way to get around the Grand Canyon is utilizing the Grand Canyon Greenway Trail. This is a fantastic multi-use trail. You can get around also using a bike on the trail. And there is a bicycle rental shop just near the visitor center. You can rent by the hour or even up to half a day. There's also e-bikes available as well, and you even have the option to rent a stroller, a wheelchair, backpack, and all sorts of stuff. So definitely take your time, explore all the trails. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. It's very peaceful, especially in the parts where there's no car traffic. You can really just sit there and enjoy the scenery. Now, if you're ready to head back, you will be picking up at the Maswick Lobby Lodge. Here's a little footage of exactly where you would pick up, and this is how you're gonna get back to Flagstaff. From Flagstaff, it's the same way that we got here. You'll take the FlixBus back to Phoenix, and then from Phoenix, you can catch the SkyTrain back to your flight, or Valley Metro for your transit. And I know right now we are pushing very hard for transit in our cities, but I think in the future we should also be considering pushing for transit options to our national and state parks, because it does reduce the impact that we have on our national parks and state parks, and it also gives us more accessibility, and it also gives us just more choices to make when we want to go visit the national parks. Thank you all for watching too. I appreciate it, and I hope this does help you get to the Grand Canyon if you choose to without a car, and just knowing it's possible.